most prestigious event is underway. The OP Pro Surfing Championship has brought tens of thousands of eager spectators to the beach to see pro surfing at its finest. And for the next hour, we're going to bring you a full slate of grueling competition, a lot of beauty, and a lot of fashions on the beach, too. And we'll even take a quick trip south to the beautiful island of Tavarua, where a few pros tore up Fiji's legendary break. And back at Huntington Beach, Miss OP will be crowned today. This, all along with ASP surfing at its absolute best, should be enough to keep you around for an hour at the OP Pro Surfing Championship. Welcome back, everybody, to the OP Surfing Championships. I'm Mike Chamberlain. Joining me, a good friend of mine, but more important than that, in 1976, he was the world surfing champion. And when you reach superstar status in surfing, ladies and gentlemen, you get your own surf card. Peter Townend joining us today. And Peter, right off the top, let's talk about the big story here this year, and that's Tommy Curren, who went into semi-retirement, but came out of it to compete here in Huntington Beach.
Well, you know, it is the big story. He hasn't competed at all this year, and he's just looked phenomenal here in the early going. Early action, he broke a board in half of the first day, put it back together, came back, won his first heat, and then he's just been phenomenal ever since. Yesterday in quarterfinal action against Mike Parsons, ever so calmly caught his last wave, 30 seconds to win it, and he's just looking phenomenal form here, and we're going to be seeing him in the semifinals up against Marty Thomas from Hawaii, and that should prove to be a great matchup.
And don't forget, Tommy is a three-time OP champion. It's not easy to win here, but to win it 3 times, let alone maybe 4, and a 2-time world champion also. Talk about some of the other names that we'll be calling today.
Well, the big story, Mike, you know, is the Australians all got knocked out, and there isn't one Australian left in the semi-finals, which is historical in the OP Pro. It's never been heard of before. Damien Hardman, Barton Lynch, they all went out in the early going, and, you know, that's just the big story. You know, poor old Australians, I don't know what's up.
I got to tell you, the producers told me to kid you about it, but I thought I'd let you off the hook, but thanks for doing it for me.
Well, wait a minute, just look at the record, but who is the world champion? He's an Australian.
Well, not only that, but Australians have always done very well here at the OP also. And let's talk about the judging. Today, we'll be working with a computer for the first time.
Well, that's just fantastic, because what enables us to do is we're able to give you the scores within about 30 seconds of every ride, and that's just phenomenal. It also really helps the competitors, because they can really tell how they're doing against the other guy out in the heat.
They actually get a printout when the heat is over, so we'll be using the computer here at the OP in Huntington Beach today. The Women's Pro Final. Wow, this is a dream matchup. Frida Zamba and Kim Merrick, 2 of the who's who of women's surfing.
Well, you know, like you say, a dream matchup. You've got 2 former champions of the event, plus 2 former world champions. You couldn't get it any better, and they've come all the way through the draw with really good records, and that one will prove to be probably as good as you can get it.
Peter, let's talk about semifinal number 2. It features Richie Collins from Newport Beach, California, up against Sonny Garcia from Hawaii. Now, Sonny was a finalist here at the OP before.
Yeah, and they've looked phenomenal in the early going. Both of them are doing this backside floater maneuver with what a fakie. It's kind of a new move. They kind of get it up on the back and they extend the hang time, and it's just phenomenal. And they in early going, I thought, were the best informed surfers, and I think that is really, really tough semi-final.
And from out of semi-retirement into semi-final number 1 is Tom Curren, and he'll be going up against Marty Thomas.
That's a good matchup too. Marty Thomas, you know, he grew up in Seal Beach before he moved to Hawaii, so he's familiar with the Huntington conditions, and, you know, he might be able to use that to his advantage. But, you know, Curran out here, he's a 3-time champion. He has to be favored.
Well, you know, it's time right now, Peter, to meet the 3rd member of our broadcast team. His name is Rabbit Bartholomew, and he's on the beach right now. Rabbit?
Thanks, Mike. I'm standing down on the beach now. The atmosphere is absolutely electric down here. Thousands and thousands of people are down here to watch and see if American Tom Curren can defend his OP Pro crown.
Okay, we are underway with semifinal number 1. Marty Thomas from Hawaii up against Tom Curren from Santa Barbara, California, 3-time OP champion, Peter.
Well, what a great matchup, you know. And Marty Thomas last year got to the quarterfinals. He's improved his position this year. He's in the semifinals against the 3-time champion. And look outside, Mike Chamberlain. Look at this wave Tom Curren's paddling into right now.
So here it is, the first wave for Tommy Curren in the semifinal. He'll drop in left side, almost an overhead wave. Look at the whitewater fly from the tail of his board, and one more time as he nears the pier. And the crowd on the beach signifying their applause for the guy that is kind of a local favorite here, raised in Santa Barbara, but a hometown hero here at Huntington Beach. And right now you see him kicking, trying to make the connection, and he'll do it. And when he does, Tom Curren is patented for bringing the crowd to their feet. He's got, and he does a face plant just as he heads to the shore break. But Tom Curren opens up the bidding here in semifinal number 1.
Well, now sitting out there is Marty Thomas. You know, he's now paddling into a pretty good-sized wave here. And let's see what it's going to do. He's coming down the line, a lot of speed here to this next move. Beautiful floater over the back of the wave, right over the top of the water photographer. But look outside, Mike Chamberlain. Tom Curren is looking at maybe a bigger one, but still Marty Thomas coming inside. What a phenomenal backside floater, though.
Oh, it's a beautiful maneuver. They call it the floater, and we try and put some hang time on it. He hung for about 2 or 3 seconds, released the board, dropped back into the white water, and at that time the crowd exploded. Well, we got Marty Thomas down the beach. Tommy Curran over here by the priority buoy. Marty paddles. He's going to opt to not drop in. Tommy Curran has got a little bit of a left-hander to work with, and Curran will drop in left side. Wave comes over his head. A nice maneuver off the top. One more time will slash it. Oh, no! And, he's still on the board, though. Oh, my goodness sakes. Tommy Curran pulls it out, did a complete layback, out of control, and the next thing we knew, he made it. Not only that, he's going to make the inside connection. He's going to go into the green room, and a 360 onto the beach. Tommy Curran, 3-time OP champion, 2-time world champion, makes his presence felt in Huntington Beach.
Well, there's a great example of a true champion. You know, he was able to turn that wave, a smaller inside wave, into a very, very high-scoring ride. I'm sure we'll just wait for the scores to come up. But he looked like he was nearly out of control when he went for that backhand re-entry. He fell down in the white water, looked like he was off his board, stood back up amazingly, and then, of course, made that connection like he always does right against the pier over there, and does a 360 in the shore break, man. And what more can you do?
Talk about being committed to a wave. Nothing was going to knock Tommy Curran off the board that time. A great wave from Mr. C.
Well, Mike Chamberlain outside. It's down to 2 minutes now, and that last rider, Curran's, has widened the gap. He's currently at 76.3 to 69.5, and Thomas, he has a priority, but I think he's running out of time in this semifinal.
His biggest enemy right now is the time clock. We're down to about the final 2 minutes here, and Marty Thomas, in his mind, knows that he's behind 2, and is going to have to pick off one tremendous wave before this thing's over.
And you see Tom Curren right now. He's paddling around the buoy. He wants to keep pressure on Marty Thomas, because with second priority, you see, it'll make Thomas nervous, and you can see there's a nice little set starting to form, and as we get inside 2 minutes, selection is going to be real crucial here. The only chance right now with, right now Curran's holding about a 7-point lead. The only chance for Marty Thomas is he's got to pick a really good wave, and look over towards the pier, Mike. This might be it.
Well, that's Marty Thomas in the red jersey, Tom Curren in the green lime jersey, and it looks as though Marty Thomas has no choice with time running out. Will drop into a right-hander this time. As he makes the drop, the green wall in front of him, he goes off the top, and he loses control that time. So that will just about wrap it up for Mr. C.
Well, unless there's a miracle, because now Tom Curren sits out there and he has priority, and he can basically close out the heat. But a great heat here that we've seen here in the first semi-final between Marty Thomas and Tom Curren. And you can see Tom Curren, he was just turning his board over, taking a look at his fins. I'm not sure if this is the board that he actually broke earlier in the week in the start of the competition. He might have been just checking it out after that 360 in the shore break.
Well, Marty Thomas, 21 years of age from Sunset Beach, Hawaii, was once quoted as saying, "I don't worry about who I got in a heat, wave conditions, or whether it's a high tide. I don't let little things worry me." Maybe a big thing like Tommy Curren might worry him, though.
Well, as we're down to the last few minutes, here's Tom Curren. He's going to close this heat out with a good-looking left-hander, and he paddles. Here he goes, up and riding Tom Curren on his backhand, gets the down-the-line speed, goes down to the bottom. Beautiful floater over the lip, gets some air as he comes inside, right over the top of the water photographer. Now he's going to see if he can make that connection, but I don't think he'll make it on this one, but outside moves were happening again on that wave for Tom Curren.
Well, just for caution's sake, Tommy looked over his shoulder to see what Marty was doing, because he does have chance for one last wave. But as you look at that wave again at Tommy Curren, again, perfect setup. He's in the right place at the right time, made the big maneuver off the lip, and then went into that little tail stall and brought it back down with him. So Tommy Curren is surfing flawlessly in the second half of semifinal number 1.
Well, you see Curran, he's calling it a day. There's only a few seconds left. He's paddling in through that deep channel right there, and we're down into the countdown, and it'll be Curran going to the finals. Unofficially, it'll be Curran for sure in the finals. I think that last couple of rides definitely putting the nails in the coffin.
In the week, the OP Pro Surfing Championships got underway with over 200 surfers. It got narrowed down dramatically in the quarterfinals, and there were some unbelievable matchups in the quarters. Martin Potter had been dominating the ASP Tour all season long, but this man, Marty Thomas, stood in his way in the quarterfinals. Thomas made the best of the glassy conditions, pulling off nice backside floaters like that one. But you don't lead the ASP Pro Tour by surfing poorly, and so Martin Potter of England exhibited his skills too. But as heat number 1 progressed, Marty Thomas made the most of the critical sections, while Potter had some problems just staying on his board, which led to a win by Marty Thomas. In heat number 2 of the quarters, Mike Parsons of Laguna Beach in the green got dealt a tough hand, trying to knock off 3-time OP Pro champion Tommy Curren in the red. Parsons made the best of his waves, but Curran's waves on this day were bigger and better. And despite some time off of the tour, the 2-time world champion looked like a fine-tuned surfing machine. Tom Curren moving on to the semifinals. Heat number 3, Richie Collins took on another Californian, Ted Robinson, in the green vest. Collins dazzled the crowd with solid surfing and his patented floaters, while Robinson made it tough on Collins with big moves. But Collins kept floating and pulling off big slashes, taking him to the semifinals. Quarterfinal number 4. It was a real dogfight between Robbie Bain from Australia and Sonny Garcia from Hawaii. And Garcia was determined to knock the last remaining Aussie out of the OP Pro. But it wouldn't be easy because Bain in the green vest was surfing extremely well. Bain and Garcia battled back and forth until only one was left standing. And according to the judges, that surfer was Sonny Garcia. In all, just an incredible 4 quarterfinal heats at the OP Pro Surfing Championship. Well, it is now official. Tommy Curren, the winner of semifinal heat number 1 with a score of 76.3. Marty Thomas a score of 69.5. So Tommy will now advance to the finals against either Richie Collins or Sonny Garcia.
And Rabbit Bartholomew is down in the competitive area right now. He's just talking to Tom Curren after this great victory.
Talking with Tommy Curren here, the victor of that semi-final. Tommy, firstly, congratulations. How'd you feel out there in that semi?
Felt pretty good. The waves are very hard to surf this morning, and same as yesterday morning with the low tide. There's a few bumps on the face, and it's pretty hard to get a long ride. So I was looking more for waves that had an open face.
Well, the lead changed hands back and forth as the heat progressed. Did you feel confident at the halfway stage that you were going to win the heat?
Well, it's never really, you can never really count on anything. I think mainly out there when the conditions aren't really perfect, it all depends on who's going to get the best wave. So, and that can, that can happen to me or my opponent. So, even right up to the end, it's always pretty scary.
Well, what about that wave when you're going along and you're on your backhand? What happened on that? You had to recover. It took you about 10 seconds to recover from that maneuver. The wave was forming up really well. It was forming up better than I thought it was going to, and it started to really line up nice. And as I was coming down, it hollowed out for a second, and I kind of lost balance. And
I just sort of struggled with it. It wasn't a very smooth ride, but I made it to the beach. So,
well, congratulations on another fine victory, and good luck for the final.
Thank you.
Okay, it's time for semifinal number 2. Richie Collins from nearby Costa Mesa, California, up against Sonny Garcia from Hawaii. So another Hawaiian-Californian show-off here.
Well, this is going to be a great matchup. In form, I'd say this is probably the better of the 2 semi-finals, because in the quarterfinals yesterday, both Garcia and Collins were just in incredible form, and they've taken the floater to a new degree. I mean, it was unbelievable yesterday. They would get it up on this backhand and they would float along. They'd do an extra turn, and the hang time I just couldn't believe. And right now, I'd say that this will be a very, very, very close semi-final.
Well, let's turn our attention to Sonny Garcia, Richie Collins in semi-final number 2.
Well, here we go, Mike Chamberlain, semi-final 2 underway, and paddling on the inside. Richie Collins in the red, paddling hard, and he's going to get his first ride. Here he goes, backside. He's got a big section to beat in front and upside down, gets that board straight up in the air, and Collins opens up with his first ride. Now he heads over there for that section over near the pier to see if he can connect it like Curran did in this first semi-final, and it looks like he might be in luck. Look at him skate this board, doing the Huntington hop, as we like to call it, but just can't get over that little bump on the inside. And outside, Mike Chamberlain, Sonny Garcia setting up for his first ride.
Sonny Garcia, former finalist here at the OP in Huntington Beach, California. This is a guy that electrified the crowds in the past, and he's going to lean into the biggest wave so far this afternoon. Left side, gets the board speed up as he comes down the green wall. Here's the big maneuver off the top and into the white water as he now works it on inside. And Richie Collins, who's paddling out by the pier, has a good look at Sonny Garcia now. The question is, can he make the connection? No, he bails out. So boom, boom, just like that, back-to-back waves in semifinal number 2.
Well, outside, look at this wave for Richie Collins, his second. His first wave didn't stack up against the first ride for Sonny Garcia, and he gets in the barrel, and look, he's coming out right near, and he comes out. He was fully covered up, and Richie Collins there coming back strong with a beautiful cover-up. Easily the best cover-up we've seen so far today, Mike, and I don't think he'll get a connection, but he just pulled into that section, tons of white water on his head, and he came out.
Well, who needs a connection with a wave like that? As we look at it again, surfers actually have ways of stalling their speed. Richie knew he was in the tube. He was completely covered up, dragged his hand, whatever he needed to do to slow himself down, and was in the tube for about 2 or 3 seconds. That bright red vest popped out. He went into the white water, so it got to be a high-scoring wave for Richie Collins. Nice-looking peak forming over by the pier, and that is Sonny Garcia in the lime green jersey. And it looks as though Garcia will drop in right side. Look at the speed. Oh, my goodness. He floats off the top right over the water cameraman. Still on his feet. He's got enough white water here to possibly make the connection as they start bouncing on the board to try and get the speed up, but it will not happen. Sonny Garcia will paddle back out.
Well, Mike, let's take a look at that wave again, because he gets one unbelievable major move outside where he comes off the bottom. He sees the big section. He goes up and floats over the lip, free falls back down, and then the wave, there wasn't much else happening, but a big move outside nevertheless. Well, Mike Chamberlain, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here in semi-final number 2, and right now Garcia's in front with a pretty good lead, but look outside, Richie Collins in position, Mike.
He's going to lean into a left-hander. He's up and at it, drops in. Look at that green wall in front of him. A floater off the top, comes out the other side of it. He's sporting with the pier right now. One more floater at the top, and he's into the white water. Crowd responds with a large round of applause. This is where Tom Curren was making some of those connections, but no, Richie will kick out and paddle back out, but 2 good maneuvers, 2 radical maneuvers, and that's what the judges like to see, let's be honest.
Well, we'll take a look at that again. I think that might have been the best way for Richie Collins so far. He got the big open face outside, did this big floater over that section, then you see he's starting to set it up. He can look for this next section, and then he just goes vertical straight up through the lip there, right near the pier, and then comes down in the white water, unable to make the connection, but 2 mega moves outside. Richie Collins with that phenomenal last wave, back in this heat, taken in front, and you see now the pressure's back on Sonny Garcia. Garcia has been in front for most of the heat, but after that phenomenal last rider, Richie Collins turned the table.
Next Collins, this time.
In the week was the Miss OP preliminaries here on the OP Pro stage. The crowd seemed to love it, and we thought you would too. The Miss OP preliminaries. is going to lean into a left-hander that aims right at the Huntington Beach Pier. Board speed up, floater off the top, drops into the white water. The crowd responds again. Garcia desperately needing to make a connection. He's got some board speed, but I'm going to tell you, he just has not been able to do it. But here it is, rail to rail, S-turns. Sonny Garcia will make the shore break right in front of the crowd. Time for one last maneuver, and he'll go up and over the lip, a double jump into the shore break. So finally, Sonny Garcia makes that ever-needed connection.
Well, Mike Chamberlain, I think he's going to get a pretty good score here, but I don't think it's going to be enough to close the deficit right now. That last ride of Collins, that really good one he got, you know, really widened the gap to give him a 69-point to 58-point totals, and I don't think that one's good enough to make it go the other way, but you never know. We'll wait to see the computer scores come up.
Richie Collins outside, scratching with everything he has to drop into a left-sider. There he goes, off the top once, off the top twice, and combines it with a floater, so a nice combination, a nice bottom turn to a floater, and he too will try and make the inside connection, but it won't happen. But again, Richie Collins able to turn in a couple of radical maneuvers.
Well, he did one of those new floaters that I was telling you about that they did in the quarterfinals yesterday. It's like a skateboard move. It's called, I think what they call it in skateboarding is a fakie, where they get up on the back of the lip and they actually rock the tail of the board the opposite direction, keep it going along the lip, and then free fall back down. And Richie Collins right there executed it to perfection. Well, Mike Chamberlain, it's down to the nitty-gritty. Here we go. Collins on the inside, knowing he's in front right now. Takes off on a little insider. He's pretty much convinced that he can't get a better score than he's got. It's all on Sonny Garcia. He's out there with the priority. He needs a 20.5 if he wants to get in the finals against Tom Curren. And he's got 10 seconds to go. And there's a little wave, but this wave isn't big enough to get a 20.5. And he'll paddle hard for it. And he won't even get it, Mike Chamberlain. And unofficially, Richie Collins looks like he'll be up against Tom Curren.
You can see Sonny Garcia's hand slop the water. That was nothing but frustration speaking. So the heat is over. Unofficially, it goes to Richie Collins, and of course that means that he'll meet Tommy Curran in the finals. Earlier, you had a chance to talk with the three-time OP champion, two-time world champion, and I bet it was interesting.
Yeah, yesterday after he'd won a great quarterfinal matchup against Mike Parsons, I had a chance to catch up with him, talk to him about his home life at the moment. He's living in France, so we'll go and talk to him right now.
Tom Curren, America's surfer, a true competitor, two-time world champion, three-time OP champion, holder of many ASP records, including the highest man-on-man heat-winning percentage, an idol and mentor to many up-and-coming young surfers. He's kind of a quiet guy who turns into a different person once he hits the water. But for the past few months, Tommy has just decided to take some time off from the grueling ASP World Tour to rest a while and to become a family man.
You know, you've been spending your time in France with your wife Marie, and you had a little baby girl. How's that changed your life, so to speak?
Well, you know, you can tell me all about it, you know, because you've got 3 now. But it's great. It's a lot of fun already, even though she doesn't speak or doesn't do anything, you know, fun yet. But I mean, just to have her there, and it's a lot of fun just watching her grow up already. So.
You know, you're looking in good shape here that you might win a 4th OP Pro. Are there plans in the future, though, that you'd like to win the world title again?
Yeah, I'd like to win it. I think for me, there's a lot of pressure that's taken off of me just approaching it this way, saying that to myself, you know, that I want to compete in the events that I like, and the big events, and to gear up for the major tournaments, and to look at it more that way. I'm going to be competing in somewhere between 12 and 15 events next year, and hopefully I'll be able to do well in the major events through the year, and I want to really try to cap it off well in Hawaii.
One of the highlights of the OP every year is the Women Pro Surfers, and we had just an unbelievable matchup. We had Frida Zamba against Kim Merrick, former world champions, both former OP champions, and kind of East Coast against West Coast. So Basically, we've got a coast-to-coast confrontation going on and a rematch of previous OP Pro Women's Finals. Frida Zamba, a multiple world champion, against Kim Merrick, also a world champion, both going at it in front of a packed beach crowd. Kim Merrick in the green jersey today, Frida Zamba in the red. Very obvious, women's pro surfing alive and well in Huntington Beach, California. We applaud Frida Zamba of Florida for taking home this year's OP Pro title. As we prepare for the men's final, and it should be a good one between Richie Collins and Tom Curren, we've just got to take you to the Southern Hemisphere. A recent trip with two pro surfers from Team OP. Once in a while, it's great to break loose from the rigid schedule of pro surfing to ride the uncrowded waves of a tropical paradise. Todd Chesser and Chris Billy hit it right on at Taparua, a tiny little island in Fiji, for a session they probably will never forget. Welcome back to the OP Pro Surfing Championship from Huntington Beach, California. Yesterday brought us the finals of the Miss OP contest, a side event that brings to the crowd and the viewer 5 of the most beautiful women on the beach. It also shows off the most up-to-date swimwear. Those vying for a cash prize and a modeling contract got a chance to answer questions and to wave at the crowd of thousands. Each contestant got a chance to talk to the crowd individually. It was time for one last walk-by as a group before the runner-up and the winner were announced to an eager group of spectators. Here's your second runner-up, Linda Sobek. First runner-up, Brittany Lee. year's Miss OP, Marilyn Parachi. Our congratulations to this year's Miss OP, Marilyn Parachi. Well, Peter, they travel the world to make the finals of an event like the OP here in Huntington Beach, California. And in the finals, Richie Collins and Tom Curren. There's a great story developing.
Well, it's like Wimbledon. This is it. I mean, you come here, this is the event. It has all the people, has all the glory, has the TV show. You get to be famous, and it all comes down to this heat right now.
Well, let's turn to it. The finals at Huntington Beach, California, the OP Surfing Championships. In the green is Richie Collins, and it looks like he'll open up the bidding, Peters. He drops into a right side. Oh, and just slides down the open face. There's the big maneuver. Oh, and a great vertical re-entry into the wide water. So Richie Collins, I'm telling you, opened up the bidding with a good-looking wave.
And he looks like he's going to connect it all the way to the inside here, Mike. He continues to come in, and he opens up with a wave all the way to the beach, a little floater on the shore break. And Richie Collins, he says, hey, look, Tom Curren, you might be the three-time world champion, but I want to win this one too.
Well, he has never won the OP. He has never made it to the finals, so what a great opening wave for Richie Collins, 20 years of age, from Newport Beach, California, just down the coast from Newport.
But look outside, Mike Chamberlain, we might see Tom Curren here open up his exchange. He's got a 20.5 to overcome a Richie Collins already has, and here he goes.
Tom Curren will drop in with his first wave in the finals. Oh, and a nice backhand re-entry into the whitewater now. The question is, can Tommy Curren make that connection that Richie Collins made earlier? Look at him pumping the board. No, Tommy had a chance for it, but pulled out the backside, and he'll turn around and paddle out. So the 25-year-old from Santa Barbara, California, is on the scorecard.
And the scores are in on Tom Curren's ride. He gets a 16.5, a healthy ride, but doesn't match Richie Collins' 20.5. And look at Richie Collins' wave.
He's going to paddle into the best wave of the afternoon. A guy that turned pro at 14 years of age slides down the open face. There's the big maneuver. A floater is in.
He comes out
of it. The whitewater crashes around him. The crowd is on their feet, and this is surfing at its best. $8,000 at stake here to the winner of the OP Championship today. Now the question is, can Collins make the inside connection?
Oh, and he does.
The answer is yes. He goes into the green tube, and one more maneuver, and he brings it ashore. What a great scoring wave for Richie Collins.
Unbelievable. But meanwhile, look at Tom Curren. He's not going to waste any time. He doesn't want the crowd to get on Richie's side. He paddles into this next wave on his forehand. Now he's driving down the line, getting all this speed, and we see the big move. He goes up, big re-entry, and he pulls it off. Oh, well, it's an unbelievable exchange here. And here comes Curren with the acceleration on the inside. He's going to make it all the way too. And Curren all the way to the beach also. Inside, big re-entry on the shore break. And oh, what an exchange. And the crowd's going nuts, Mike.
Oh, we just got to let the crowd speak for itself. What a knowledgeable crowd here at Huntington Beach. A back-to-back wave exchange that I'm not sure I've ever seen here at the OP Championships, but I can't wait for the judges' scores to see how that one ended up.
Well, we'll wait for the computer scores to come in, but we're really going to want to take a look at that. I'd say that was one of the best exchanges, wave for wave, as you said, we've ever seen at the OP Pro Surfing Championship.
Richie Collins backside. It is all weight transfer. Watch how he leans the weight, then releases it, and where'd he go? Oh, there he is. He pops out of the whitewater like a cork. Tommy Curren going the other way. Watch him as he slips under the soup of the whitewater, and boom, patented Tom Curren.
And the computer scores are in. Richie Collins gets a massive 25 for that last ride, and Tom Curren answers with a 23. Two of the highest scores we've seen today. What a fantastic exchange.
Keep in mind, the highest score you could accumulate would be a 30, so that gives you the idea of what powerful surfing is going on here at Huntington Beach. Well, I hope you're as excited as we are. Don't leave us now. The OP finals continue after a real quick timeout.
Well, Mike, out in the water right now, Tom Curren with priority. He's trying to play catch-up here with Richie Collins. Little unusual situation. Tommy Curren's usually always in front when this time at the OP Pro. He usually always establishes the lead. We wait for the other guy to catch up, but this time Richie Collins has burst out in front, and Curren is going to have to come back if he wants to win it an incredible 4 times. And looks like a good wave starting to come outside, and, you know, Curren's going to have the opportunity if he wants to take it. It's a pretty decent-sized wave, and there's a couple of waves in the set list
let's just see which way he goes. He's going to take the left, and Curran will go, and the crowd is up on its feet. Here he goes on his backhand, flying down the line, a lot of speed. Big section in front of him. He can't get up on the open face, and he goes over the back. Meanwhile, Mike, looks like Richie Collins might get the better here.
Richie Collins, 20 years of age, Newport Beach, California, paddles in. He will go backside too. A nice pretty wall in front of him. And he floats for about 2.5 seconds. A quick layback, one vertical maneuver, and then a re-entry off the whitewater. So Richie Collins is relentless. He refuses to let Tommy Curran back into it, and Collins trying to make the inside connection. He's pumping the board, trying to get the speed up, and he's going to do it. Richie Collins makes that connection. One more maneuver. He'll step off the board onto the beach in Huntington Beach, and the crowd responds with a big round of applause.
Well, here we go again. Tom Curren, he knows that Richie Collins had a good one. Here goes Curran. He's up and riding. He goes right side. He comes up the bottom, hits it upside down right into that section. Can he make an inside connection? Another great exchange. Here comes Curran with all the speed. I think he's got the inside connection, no problem. Weaving back and forth. Here he comes right at us in front of the crowd. On his backhand, building up the speed. Will he do the big move? He goes with a nice floater on his backhand. And Curran finishes off there in the shore break. And once again, Richie Collins and Tom Curren going for it wave for wave.
Peter, a three-wave exchange. Curran, Collins, Curran, back to back to back, and you don't see it that often in surfing, and the crowd is literally on their feet.
Well, they went and wait for the scores to come up on the computer, but I think Richie Collins' wave was better than either of Tom Curren's. But again, once again, you know, we got a lot of time left in this heat. Collins got the better of it. Tommy's first wave, he got caught behind that section, and even though he connected that last one, he didn't really finish it off in the short break as good as I thought he could have.
Can you believe, though, he caught the first wave of the set, Collins catches the second, Curran had time to paddle out and still pick off the third wave. Unbelievable power paddling in terms of Tom Curren. Well, Peter, here comes the set of the afternoon as we're within the 10-minute mark of the finals now, and Richie Collins in the green will float over the top, and look at Tom Curren in the red is going to drop in left side, a big wave, and he goes vertical backside as he heads for the pier. He's got a lot of board momentum up. He may make that inside connection.
Well, we're going to have another exchange because here goes Richie Collins right behind him, and he's got a bigger wave outside. And he can't do anything with it. Meanwhile, Curran's still going, Mike Chamberlain. Curran through the shore break on the inside, a re-entry, and Curran trying to come back here. Gets a ride all the way to the inside without priority, and great comeback from Tom Curren.
And as he entered the short break, did you look at Tommy over his shoulder? He looked back to see what Richie had done, and a big smile had to come on his face when he noticed that Collins was not riding the wave. So that could have been the turnaround, Peter, that we've been looking for. Curran was trailing going into that final exchange. Well, as we take another look at this wave in what I call flow motion, not slow motion, look at Tommy Curran angle that board left side, and he goes vertical, absolutely up and down on the wave, releases, brings it back down with him, and then Tommy have the presence of mind to keep the momentum up and make that inside connection. It had to be a very high-scoring wave for Mr. C.
Well, I'm looking at the computer, Mike, and here are the scores, and Tommy Curran scores a very strong 21, and now the overall totals, they swung the favour of Tom Curran. Tom Curran's back in the lead with 99.7, and Richie Collins right behind him with 97, so this is unbelievable.
Oh, my goodness, Peter, we have got ourselves a horse race.
And look outside, here comes the set, and we got Richie Collins in position with priority. Let's see if he exercises it. There's a nice little peak starting to shape up for him, and Collins now, let's see if he can get the lead back. Here we go, Richie Collins, he's got a nice looking left, paddles into it, he's going to drop in, goes down to the bottom, vertically upside down into this next section, goes around, whacks it up the whitewater, upside down again. I don't think there'll be any connection, but two big moves outside, and let's see if he can steal the lead back again.
Well, we'll find out. Richie Collins went left side on that wave, put off two good radical maneuvers, and then the shoulder just kind of petered out on him, and he ran out of gas. But nonetheless, he had to respond to that last wave by Tommy Curran, and that it was. And as we look right now, Tommy is out there paddling for the priority buoy. He will have priority as we close in on the 5-minute mark of the OP Finals in Huntington Beach, California. Richie Collins going to try and pick off one of the inside waves. He'll go right side on it. It's forming up nicely. He does a nice rebound off the whitewater, and it closes around him as he fights for the open shoulder right now. I don't know what it is about the OP, but it brings the best out of all these surfers. He makes the inside connection into these S turns, rail to rail. The crowd goes to their feet. Richie Collins into the inside tube, floats off the top and comes down with it. So Richie Collins puts both hands up in the air, but Tom Curren is outside and refuses to give it up.
And the scores are in from the wave before that for Richie Collins, and he's stolen the lead back again. He's gone to a 102 score, and that wave was even better, so he might have stolen it back and even increased his lead with that last ride. Now Tom Curren, can he come back again? Here he goes. He's looking at a smaller inside wave, and Curren has got priority. He's paddling. Here he goes. Curren on his forehand. Goes down the line. He goes round this section. Goes up. Who whacks it vertically into the whitewater. Pulls it back down through the whitewater. And he's got all the speed for the inside. Here comes Curren building up the speed. Big moves on the inside. Here he comes. The crowd's on his feet. He goes to the inside. Big re-entry. A floater. And he pulls it off. And another great exchange. What a final we got going on, Mike.
Well, Peter, we've covered the OP for many a year, and I don't think we have ever seen a wave exchange. It is war out in the Pacific Ocean today.
Well, we'll wait for the scores to come in, but this is unbelievable. Can Curran come back with that wave? We'll wait and see.
Well, let's set up the importance of the win here today. Tommy Curran, crowding in on $300,000 in career earnings, could add another $8,000 to that today with a win here in Huntington Beach. The winner walks away with $8,000. Total purse, $80,000.
Okay, Mike Chamberlain, there's no priority outside, and we're right inside 2 minutes. And right now, Collins has the lead, 108.3 to 105.1. And here goes Richie Collins. This might be his last ride. Here he goes. He paddles. He's on his backhand. He comes down the line, floater over the whitewater. And now he's driving down the line. Can he connect the inside? He says, I don't think so. I don't think he'll make it. But right now, Richie Collins is in front, and it's all in front of Tom Curren. He's got to come back with the big ride.
Well, there's two things against Tommy right now. One, the time clock, and two, Mother Nature. Can she deal him a wave that could wrap up his fourth OP title? And Tom Curren looks, he sees something building outside. He may have a shot, Peter, with less than a minute to go.
And here's the crowd. The crowd can sense that this is his big chance. Is this wave going to shape up for Tom Curren?
He's going to have to go for it. Tommy Curren went into semi-retirement. And here he goes. It could be the last wave of the afternoon. He's going to have to paddle hard. And it builds up. Tommy Curren needs a real big wave. And no!
He doesn't get it, Mike. And that could be it. It might be all over. He might not win it 4 times. And on the inside, Richie Collins picks up the last little section here. But looks like Tom Curren might be out of luck. But we'll have to wait for the official result.
Oh, I'm going to tell you, there was no loser, Peter Townend, in this final heat today. Probably, without question, the best surfing we've ever seen in an OP final.
God, I mean, it's incredible. My voice has shot the ribbons. The exchanges between Collins and Curren were just unbelievable. They were just wave after wave. Collins would come inside. Curren would be right behind him. It was incredible. I'm just lost for words.
Well, I'll tell you what, all the stats have been filed into a computer. They are computing right now. When we come back, we will unveil the winner of the OP Surfing Championship. Don't leave us now. We'll be back with the winner. Welcome back, everybody. And as Peter Townend and I were saying, some great wave exchanges out there. Tommy Curren in search of his 4th OP title. Richie Collins has never won the OP, but Richie, let's make it official right now. The judges have handed in their decision. You are the winner. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
What do you think? Give us some thoughts about winning here for the first time.
I'm just so happy. I can't even believe how happy I am, and I just want to thank the Lord Jesus for just getting me here and helping me out in the heats. I've prayed with him the whole time, and he's helped me out more than anything. And I want to thank all my friends and everything for coming down and supporting me at the contest, and all the people that like my surfing and like Tommy's that came to watch the contest. I just want to thank all of them for coming out too.
All right, well, Richie Collins is the winner. I got to get a quick comment from Tommy. Tommy, your thoughts? Coming back, you're really out of semi-retirement, so to speak.
Well, for the moment, I've been off the tour for a few months, so it's pretty tough to come back into it like that and to come into it cold. But I was really happy to be there, and I think I gave Richie a pretty good fight, and it was a pretty close heat. So I knew it was going to be fairly close, and I knew it was going to be tough to beat, and he deserved to win. All right. Well, Tommy, congratulations. You had a fine showing. And for Tommy and Richie and Peter, I'm Mike Chamberlain. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you at next year's OP Surfing Championships.